Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I am Gary, your host. This is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. Well, here we're going to take a look at a little handful of trade paperbacks and graphic novels of comics, except for this first one. This first one is, wet my whistle a little bit again, is Ray Bradbury's Dinosaur Tales. Trade paperback from 1983, reprinting a bunch of Ray Bradbury's stories and poems involving dinosaurs, including the Foghorn, which was the basis for the movie. Oh, geez. 20,000. Oh well, I can't remember right now. I know it. I just all of a sudden I can't think of that movie. And also his one of his most famous stories of. Now I can't think of that one either. It's here. It's says, besides the dinosaur, what do you want to be when you grow up? Sound of Thunder. Oh, that's one I could. And of course, you can see the book is profusely illustrated, which is why I included it in here by a variety of artists. And of course, Ray Bradbury had a long time close association with comic books. Many of his stories were adapted to comic book form, of course, both science fiction and horror, by EC Comics and some other publishers, as some of them, done as movies, and various other things. He was very, very well loved and prolific author of science fiction and horror stories. And he was one of my favorite authors. You can see some of the illustrations involved here. Various artists. Stranko. Yeah, that was by Stranko. There's Stranko. Some cool stuff. This is some funny stuff. And also, and of course, this includes some relatively early dinosaur art by Bill Stout, who is one of the best known paleo artists out there. Yeah, look at that. Some really nice stuff. And of course, Bill Stout is known for doing comics as well. Then we have here, this copy is from 2019, reprinting Shazam Origins by, you're kidding, by Jeff Johns and Gary Frank. Of course, has the photo cover for, tying it to the movie, but the interior stuff is from 1991 and 92. Some really nice. This is the book that the movie is primarily drawn upon. Not exclusively, but primarily. So, for the most part, reading this is almost like reading an adaptation of the of the movie. Some real nice work. Then we have Namor Visionaries by John Byrne. This is written and drawn by John Byrne. Compiling. This is volume 2, compiling some of his 1991 and 92 run on Namor the Submariner. And there's a little different take than the traditional one. And of course, in the storyline, it includes the Human Torch and Captain America. They're basically the invaders. But while it's still the original Captain America, this is the Fantastic Four version of the Human Torch, Johnny Storm. And it has Nazi stuff. Oh, cool. And it includes, somewhere in here, yeah, Namorita, his cousin. Some cool stuff. Real nice artwork. Although probably not my favorite interpretation of the Submariner, but it's good. Then we have from 1991, Wolverine, Reign of Terror. This is a graphic novel written by Peter David, drawn by Andy Kubert. And there's some interesting stuff. It's been so long since I've read it, I don't remember this. Of course, this ties into a lot of the X-Men stuff that was going on at the time. But it's Wolverine. I like Wolverine. I like his own title and the graphic novels. Then another Wolverine graphic novel from a year later, 1992, Wolverine Inner Fury, drawn by Bill Sienkiewicz. And who's the writer? D.G. Chichester. I'm not familiar with him. And of course, Bill Sienkiewicz has a very unusual stylization. From what I understand, he developed that unusual stylization for he broke his drawing hand, but he still had to work, so he kind of took over with his left hand, and it developed into a unique stylization, which became very popular, and it is interesting. But the visual storytelling is a little more difficult to follow. Then here from 1979, trade paperback by Stan Lee, Captain America, Sentinel of Liberty, with a Dave Cockrum painted cover. And this is reprinting a lot of stuff primarily from the 60s, mostly Lee Kirby stuff, but not all. It's the Avengers and other stuff, but it also has the features the classic and much sought after Steranko 2-issue storyline in here by Jim Steranko. And I've got a couple other versions featuring that. And here's something you've probably never heard of or seen. This is also from 1992. This is Wonder Guy. Now, apparently, this is an adaptation of a very small movie. It says the official adaptation of the major motion picture. Wonder Guy. And it was written, let's see here, written by Murad Cumin, who I don't know, and and it is drawn by his father, Saruri Guman. I hope I'm pronouncing those right. And look in here, that's some really nice artwork. And it turns out that this artist was for quite some time was a ghost artist on the Carrie Drake comic strip. So you know the guy's got some creds, and that's why it looks so good. It looks better than it should for this kind of material. And then it's got, if I can get to it, yeah, text, a couple of text pages just about the with photographs from the movie. Well, what the heck? And I've never seen or otherwise heard of this movie, but this looks like some pretty cool monster makeup. So this is not just a B movie. This is like a C or D movie. But it looks like it'd be fun, something fun to watch. And here we have one of Will Eisner's many graphic novels. It's not, but it's less a novel. It's more, as it says here, Notebook by Will Eisner. Of course, Will Eisner, he's the one who basically invented the modern concept of the graphic novel. Although there had been various forms of graphic novel before, this is where the modern concept of a graphic novel originated. Not so much this book, but from Will Eisner. This is City People Notebook, and it's just little vignettes, little text, handwritten text introduction, and then it's just little vignettes of people and things and events witnessed in the city, and several of them are completely silent. The whole thing is told visually, but not all of them. Many of them are downright verbose. And of course, for those who are not familiar, of course, Will Eisner wrote really wrote the book on sequential art. Literally wrote the book on sequential art, and did several graphic novels, and one of the biggies from the golden age of comics. One of the creators of Black Hawk did some kind of a pirate thing. I can't remember him. Best known, of course, for his Spirit newspaper comic, and then for many years got out of mainstream comics and was working primarily in the 60s and early 70s on commercial comic stuff, like for government instructions and corporate stuff, instruction and teaching materials and stuff like that. And then we finish it up with this graphic novel of The Mighty Thor, I Whom the Gods Would Destroy, written by Jim Shooter, who I gather we have just recently lost. I guess it was plotted by Jim Shooter, written script by Jim Owsley, drawn by Paul Ryan, and inks by Vince Colletta, the ever-present Vinnie Colletta. And heck with it. And it's been many years since I've read this. This is when he still had Thor, still had his dual identity with Donald Blake. This is from '89, I think it was. And but this seems the whole thing seems to be more of a personal and interpersonal graphic novel and less fisticuffs, because it's not very heavy on action, but it is heavy on personal drama. And somewhat nicely done, because of Vince Colletta is a very capable inker, but not the best. But he worked fast, and he did so many things, and he had a way of making the ladies look very lovely, even though his action stuff was more on the stiff side. But it works. So that is what I had to share with you this time around with the trade paperbacks and graphic novels. Just a handful I got from out of the garage. So I want to thank you for joining me. Please like, share, subscribe, leave your comments down below. And remember, comics are art.